Hello and welcome. We're gonna play some more Striving for Light Survival. Why? Because we can. Good. So, what do we want to do? Reach 60 melee damage. Have 3 burning hit skills active. 100 melee damage. I guess we'll do a melee run and try stacking a whole shit ton of melee damage. No projectile stuff. And various scales with AoE, damage scales with projectile damage. I think that'll do. A lot of skills that we don't have unlocked. So let's see here. The basement. Is there anything here? That says that we get to unlock something in the basement. Wave 20 with only 3 health. So none of those. Hideout, Stonehold, the beach. Void map. So the arena, the frozen or the hideout. I guess we'll go ahead and continue unlocking maps. Wow, these fuckers are already annoying. Now, the goal is to do a whole bunch of melee damage. Grab a double hit. And some attack speed. Those up-close projectiles, I know are gonna be a nuisance. Get more of them on screen, and because they look so much like the experience dropping on the ground. Yeah, attack, double hit. I wonder if I have companions. I have empowered companions, but nothing that shows that they're actually going to be part of my skill set. I think I'm going to take that note. So one of the things that I've been doing with this game, and a few of the others, is I take a handful of notes. With this one and two others, I've had the developers come and hang out, ask a bunch of questions. Well, not ask questions, just hang out. But I'm just talking about stuff as I go and I see it. But then I have all these thoughts and ideas about mechanics or improvement to the game. And so I've started taking notes so that if the developer ever comes back, I can be like, hey, by the way, I've been chewing on this shit for a minute. Here's a whole bunch of stuff for you to think about. Of which the one thing I wanted to add right now is ensuring skills, sub skills, and main skills are in same run. Because it would be, you know, there's things that, like, this game isn't, it's released, it's mostly done, but like every game, they could use some polish, little things, tweaks. It's a small developing team of 2. It's understandable that not everything is perfect, but like this could be a simple oversight where it's like, okay, it's going to randomly give you a whole bunch of skills that you don't have, because you get 12 major skills like this, or this, or this, or this, or this, that populate. But if it's populating useless ones that aren't attached to their main skill, so this is an additional to companions. If you don't have a companion skill, it's kind of fucking pointless for it to show up there. So there could be some sort of what's the logic criteria where it's like, if you don't have this, or if you do have this, then do this. I'll take it. 2 movement speeds in 2 directions. Okay, I do get a companion. Awesome. Now we get to chase down companion skills. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough level ups to complete all of the... Well, I might have to go into endless mode to do it. Because some of the unlock requirements are have 10 plus skills associated with the thing, or have a whole bunch of melee damage stacked, but after the 20 main rounds for the map, you may not necessarily have enough levels to have enough skill points to help you unlock that stuff. What's down here? Summon a permanent baby phoenix that shoots 3 projectiles. Projectiles explode, and it's a companion. So we'll start hopping down this way. Seeing all these projectile things is a nuisance. It's like the one time I'm not running a projectile build, I get a whole bunch of them. I think that's an obnoxious enemy. Damn, I'm getting hit. Starting to feel like projectiles might be important. Damn. 50% speed reduction? That's insane. I don't think I have any skills that are triggering on hit. So I only need 1 double hit right now. That'll get me some more attack speed, since each one reduces it by 10%. I got 1 more skill to use. Suppose we could go damage here so we can grab AoE. Ah, wonderful. So the Phoenix that I just summoned shoots things that look like stuff I have to dodge as well. Just add to the chaos. All right, 2 points. I don't want to see what this looks like. We'll just take some base attack speed. Get us swinging a little faster. I wonder if animal companions attack scales with attack speed. Companions scale with attack speed. Not stackable. So we're gonna look at that skill where it circles you with your projectiles to see if it is, does it scale with AoE? How is the size determined? Or is it fixed? 2 skill points. Melee attacks cast a stone boulder in a random direction, which is piercing through all enemies. Scales with your melee damage. So we could use more projectiles as well as projectile damage. I want to try and make it to the end with 3 hearts. That's a weapon unlock. Size scales with your AoE. So that's the only one that has AoE benefits right now. Guess we'll just take some projectile damage. I don't know what I just hit. Starts getting messy. I think an enemy just spawned on top of me. what the fuck is happening right now? Oh, it shoots out shit? Can't even see it. I feel like I'm risking it not taking a heart. Where's the heart on the map? Yeah, it's gonna be a long map. This build is not going well. I don't have the damage. We connect this here. We can grab that and then hop over to those two. That one might impact our circle. I was like, what is this new projectile that things are shooting at me? But it's my projectile. Could use some more pet damage too. We'll take what we know. Projectiles. Hey there. How's it going? Appreciate the input. I had to turn a whole bunch of stuff off after my screen got overwhelmed with the sheer number of things I had on it for some of the long runs I was doing. Basically bogging my computer down. So, did you just get here? I've been taking notes. Like, I literally been writing down like all of the things I've seen or thought or caught. To run them by you if you were interested. Melee damage. Well, are you interested in going over these? I don't know if you're actively engaged in something that requires more attention. I don't want to like take you away from something is more of what I was getting at. Okay. Some of these will be hard to show from this particular menu because I won't have access to hovering over them. Some of them were very skill specific. So the first one is increased conditional damage. It says it has energy regen and endurance regen, and neither of those are explained as to what they do, who they impact. It's an unknown at this point. When going through, let me grab my last skill and then under one of the things I noticed is that critical hits, when you unclick damage numbers, sometimes crits will still show. So some of these are like, this list is a compilation of things that I don't understand, things that don't make sense, possible improvements. So there isn't any particular order. It was just the order that came to mind. It would be nice when doing a run, especially in Endless, to have access to the leaderboards, specifically for the level that you're on, so you can know what the benchmarks are. I was playing one long run, and I was kind of tired of the run, but I didn't know where to stop. So I just kind of kept going for a hot minute, knowing what number one is. And it could be something where you don't even have to have access to the leaderboard. It could just be like maybe a toggle feature where you can toggle on, once you enter endless mode, you can see the top 3 spots. on screen somewhere where it's just like top spots 1, 2, and 3 points, so that you can start looking at your score to see where your benchmarks are. All right. Didn't know that worked either. As far as I knew, exiting a run was going to end the run. There were also in showing enemy HP bars, some of the elites would still have their HP bars visible. I think it might be the... I don't know if it's the base. Okay. It would be... I like it. That was actually one of the things I wrote down at one point. One of the ways I've seen it done, the tooltip is what confused me, because it says first iteration of story voice acting. One of the things I've seen done with games before is when things start getting really busy with everything on screen, they have a light bar. It shows... Did that just turn on? Nope, that was there before. So I see you have this little circle thing that follows where your cursor is, and that does a pretty good job. I don't think I had noticed it before. When the screen starts getting really full of mechanics, that can be difficult to see. I've seen some where they just add like an extra light bar where it just shoots light in the direction that you're aiming, just so you have like a removal from the character, and it just follows you around kind of like a beam of light. Endless mode seems to not like... It gets stagnant. Is there a scaling in damage or speed? I wrote down to increase speed in endless per wave. So every, because you start hitting wave 50, 60, they should start getting like faster. And it should become faster in particular because in increasing their speed, it warrants increasing movement speed as a skill to select. So it's kind of like this twofold thing where it increases the effectiveness of the skills on your skill tree, but it also increases the difficulty, making it more challenging and potentially more exciting. I know at a certain point there's this juggle you have to do where so many projectiles, so many enemies, things moving, that you don't want to crash a computer. And that can be easy to do. Like I'm running an i7 or i9. I think it's an i7, I think. And a 4090 NVIDIA 4090. And I was still dropping into low frame rates when I had everything on screen. So I know it gets messy in that regard. So the enemy speed as it like moves up could be a thing. Removing this thing, use search function, have it toggle on and off. Make it go away after you see it the first time. I've never had to search anything. Maybe add click search bar to remove this box. I think I'm sure from your end, the entertaining aspect of this is seeing people play, not like play testers by any means, because you definitely in some games have like alpha, beta, and you put the game out, and I'm sure you have all of these things in your mind where everything at this point just feels like common sense, because you're like, yeah, you just do this thing and this thing and it's explained right here, or you just click this and it's there. But you've been hands-on developing all that stuff, and so something like that is probably not something that you would imagine, where you're like, oh, okay. He was annoyed because there was a box here, but he didn't actually ever click it because we didn't do the thing. I never had the need for it. Right? Elite non-kills. So when you're in, you have your 10 experience nodes, they make an elite into a new level. If you fail to kill that elite, are you essentially losing that experience? Does it move that elite into the next level? Alrighty. Hey, we made it to the cursor change, which was addressed. A game speed option would be nice to increase game rate, so I can pew faster. This skill tree sucks. I don't like it. It's not going my way. I think I just... Nope. I'm okay. So the two things I said were the game speed option, so being able to increase it to 1 1/4, 1 1/2 double speed, or have the ability to have shorter rounds with double enemies. As a potential implement down the road, I think it would be interesting to have weapon and skill synergies. So you have a variety of bleed skills, companion-based damage. You've got some fire-based stuff, the meteor. You've got some ground-based things. You could call that just earth or whatever. And having certain weapons provide bonuses to certain types of skill sets, it would offer an interesting variety on using potentially less favorable weapons to create more unique builds. Like if I wanted to do a ground slam build, maybe I needed to wield the really slow, large, massive hammer and then start speccing into a bunch of those skills. It adds kind of a gear element without being a gear element, because right now the weapons do have a very unique individual playstyle for each of them, but there isn't any synergy specifically between some of the skills you use and the weapons you have. So that could be an interesting thing to plan for. A training simulator or arena could be an interesting thing to play with too. Basically, whether it's a blank level that you can have like a training dummy that doesn't die, and you can select your character, your weapon, and modify all of this stuff in game. So you can pull up your character sheet like you were selecting, and you can change weapons at will. You can have a skill tree and say I want 20 levels or 30 points, and it'll still do the random thing. So you can pick your skills and basically play around making builds. Be really fun to see how certain things react with each other. Oh, okay. So you have a handful of weapons and skills that are unlocked under certain conditions. Specifically the level ones. It would be nice if on the levels that you need, there was a tooltip when you hovered over. So you have your list of levels that show up on the side and the different tiers. If you need to beat a level at tier 4, when you hover over tier 4, it says this unlocks the weapon as one of the data points. So that way when you're going through and playing levels and making selections, you're like, oh, I can aim for this one. You could even add a little icon to it or something to be like, this is something that visibly is like there's an unlock associated with this level. Another idea you could do for later endgame development would be adding curses. So you add something that has a positive and negative weight. It could be this could also tie into the weapon synergy and skill synergy. So you could say 10% increased fire damage, 10% increased speed, some sort of base stat, but also a negative associated with it, which is you lose something else, projectile damage. You are slower. Enemies are faster. You gain less experience, and then you could really scale them. So it's like you could have you do 400% damage, but you only get 1 skill point a level. Like there's a whole range of things you could do to create really interesting curses. The addition to this is it adds room for more leaderboard based stuff. The chaos run that you have now is, I think, a good starting point for letting people play with stuff, but having like a weekly challenge or something where it's like, hey, we all have all these curses, you got to play this challenge, which is specific weapons, or you get buffs to this, and minuses to this, and it could just create some really unique runs that way. So in my skill tree right now, that's the other thing. It would be nice to be able to open up your character screen in round. Whether it's you hit escape and you have your character stats on one side, knowing DPS meters, which skills are doing the most damage, whether it's real time, as in something that you can hit escape and see, or at the end of the run, where it's like, maybe it does show at the end of the run. I don't remember seeing damage output, but I might be mistaken. But this is the type of game that I like numbers. I like being able to see what's my crit rate, what's my crit damage, how much damage am I doing with this skill, what's my base sword doing, what are my double attacks doing, knowing all of the statistics so that you can start metagaming, fine tweaking. Because that's the part of the joy in these games that have a lot of replayability, is playing with the nuance. It's adding percentages here and there and really fine-tuning the way a build comes together. With companions, it isn't evident if their attack speed scales with yours. I haven't noticed it immediately. If I turned on a bunch of attack speed and turned down a bunch of attack speed, it might be something I figure out, but it doesn't outwardly express that it scales with attack speed. So that's a question in part. Okay, that's interesting. Like that, I can assume that it might scale with your attack speed. But it isn't outwardly apparent. Okay. And then the next one is the projectile shield, which I'm currently rocking, where your projectiles swirl around you. Is that a fixed size? Does that scale with projectile speed, projectile range? Does it get bigger as a proximity thing, or is it literally just fixed? So the shield is scaled by AoE. Okay. Damage output is terrible. Okay. Yeah, as a... all of that information is not inherently evident. Like, on the surface, it absolutely makes sense, but... And so far, that's the end of my list. Oh, I had the last note, which was the skills are randomly selected. When I was playing and I was early on in my tree, one of the first that popped up was empowered companions. And I didn't see any companion skills on the tree. I don't know if it's coded that this can never show up without the associated skill. So it might not happen often, or it is already programmed to avoid that problem, but that this needs to be attached. Okay. Four more levels. Doing almost no damage. I tried to make a melee run, and it just fucking failed. Well, that was all the notes I had. Just stuff I was thinking about as I was playing. I knew if I didn't write them down, I wasn't going to remember them. I'd be like, oh yeah, I had this idea. I don't remember what it was anymore. And I don't want the health. Can I reach you? Can't. I definitely think you've done a good job with the uniqueness of weapon selection. At least with the handful of melee weapons I've gotten to choose from. It's interesting seeing kind of how differently each one of them plays. Damn. Got him right at the end and I missed it. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough damage to take the boss out. Turn on enemy highlights, deactivate blood effects, and lower player transparency effect. Yeah, when I was doing my endless run, I turned everything off. It was just the enemies and me, and then things dying to invisible forces. Because I had 80 daggers flying around me at any point in time, and the computer was like, yes, no, we don't want to play. We can't keep up. Maybe our companions will do all the work. Grab one more there. One thing I would also enjoy, just because I'm one of those types, and there may be a skill for it that I haven't unlocked yet, experience boosting. And animals companions crit? Does that matter any? I think we'll probably just go with attack speed. I don't think 5% crit's gonna do me any good. Yeah, this ain't happening. Just don't have the damage output. I got my life leech. I didn't even get to see that one. I didn't even get to see most of the skills I had selected. The on-death skills are kind of worthless at a certain point. Damage health scales so high that it's like trying to get these to do well. Sometimes they start popping off really good. But it definitely feels like it falls off. Oh, we're so slow. Projectiles. Projectiles. I can't afford. Yeah, that mostly offsets. I also think it's neat that the weapon has a hitbox where you have to hit like the head of the hammer or the scythe at the end. The enemy gets too close and it hits the stick, it doesn't do anything. This is going to be... We're looking good so far. We're looking good. Solid extra projectiles. Few scattering, damage. We get to see what trembling looks like. 2 AoEs. Our cyclic might. One level. Ooh. Take damage. Need to get some movement speed. Old man here. So slow. I think we'll go explosion, damage, and a cycle weapon. Poison's really good too. I gotta say, that's one of the most obnoxious enemies thus far. At least from a melee perspective. You know what? I kind of like having the control at the moment. We'll go spread, projectile, projectile. Shockwave is always triggering 3 on hit effects. I don't think I have. Well. So for that one, is it any on hit effect? or any on melee hit effect. And if you only have one, can it hit the same one 3 times? I know it's a melee skill. Like, would it trigger a double hit in its wake? And would then it trigger it 3 times? All right. Is it melee only or melee? Do I have access to a... I do, right there. Whoa! I'm so slow. I am so dangerously slow. The sound that this makes reminds me of the very first boss from Rygar. As it moves back and forth and shoots those little things at you. I don't know if you're gonna get that reference. It's an old game. More attack speed. More projectile damage. Movement speed's probably smart. Okay, I see it. It was hard to make out before, but I see the double hit moving. Now I need to get my attack speed up, so it works. Still doing most of the work. Now we need to hunt down some AoE stuff. Probably some health. I like the additional 2 skill changing bits as well. It's really nice that you can toggle the skills. Like I had one build that was a melee build, and I stacked a whole bunch of double hit, but then I ended up stacking the 2 sword one that like surrounds you with the swords and some AoE, and the skill got so big that my weapon couldn't hit anything, which means none of my double hits were triggering. So I was able to turn all those off and get a whole bunch of attack speed out of it. It's nice being able to click it on and off without having like skill points or other stuff associated with it. Let's try it. think I'll probably grab one more movement speed. Maybe two. Not a lot of crit on the board. That's a good one to have. Just doesn't want to seem to let me have one. What's up, Luck? Need more levels. You know what? We'll take it. Yeah. Well, it looks like I'm gonna get my other unlock for melee damage. I really wasn't planning on it. That's what my last run was supposed to be. We'll grab some movement speed, some damage. Yeah, it's challenging. Oh, well, let's go AoE. And we've got another damage there, another one there, another AoE there. Grab some more attack speed. need some projectile damage for my guiding light. Can't seem to find projectile damage anywhere. Unless they keep giving me melee stuff. Let's see here. There we go. Creeping up on it. Probably gonna go into endless on this one, just because I have so many damage modifiers. That's the other thing, Devintide. I don't know if you're still here. Being able to look at the unlocks in-game, where I can hit escape, open up a unlock menu, and see what I have and haven't unlocked and the requirements for it. Or, even better, would be an unlock list. Oh, that also keeps track of how many of the unlocks you currently have. So some of them are like you have to have 10 companion skills. If you could open up the list and be like, okay, I have 9 out of 10, that'd be awesome. So there's range damage down there. That was so much easier.